Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back to WorksheetCloud and to your English lesson. My name is Mrs. Fauger, and I am, as always, excited to be here. I hope you are too. Remember, if you do have any questions during the lesson, that you can email me at grade6@worksheetcloud.com. So let's jump into our lesson for today. Right, I just want to move myself out of the way. Our lesson overview for today is we always have our daily starter, and then we are looking at adverts and advertising techniques. So really lovely lesson for today. So let's look at our word for the day, and it is blarney. Okay, and blarney means deceptive or misleading talk if you're using it as a noun. And then if you're using it as a verb, you can use it, it actually means that you are flattering somebody. So you're not really telling the truth. It is actually false because it's deceptive and misleading. So in context, think of lockdown at the moment as we hear a lot of fake news about going back to school or not going back to school or different levels. We really do need to make sure that we don't listen to that blarney, which is misleading or deceptive, because we need to wait for our president. Every time that he comes on and gives us an update, that is what you need to watch and listen to. The rest that's coming via Facebook or another platform that hasn't come from the president himself, we need to be very careful because it is probably blarney. Right, I hope that helps. Right, adverts, as you know, are everywhere. They're on TV and radio. Sometimes they're advertising things like the iced tea. They are on games. I actually love to play. I've got a few games on my phone. I'll tell you what they are. I've got Scrabble Go, which obviously is to do with words. I've got Block Doku, is like a block game. I've even got a game called My Home where I get to play a game, and then I have to, once I get enough points or coins or whatever it is, I can then create a room and add a nice couch or something. But on those games, you often have those adverts, which are so annoying, that scroll up all the time. So they're also on games, they're also in magazines, they are also on buses or on billboards, those big billboards. If you've been out your house recently with mom, maybe to the shops, if you've passed a billboard, you can see those adverts there. And advertising different things, so tea, KFC food, Takis, or a specific brand like Nike. Right, so advertising as a tool, you need to remember that it is used to get people to want to buy something. So the intention is very clear. It's a persuasive technique. They're not trying to say, do you feel like getting it? Everything that is to do with that advert is to try and make you want to buy it. And it's really aimed most of the time at you guys. Because if you guys are persuaded and nag mom or dad enough, sometimes you get what you're nagging them for. So it's a very clever technique. But they are created to sell something. So not only for you to buy, but to sell, obviously. And then it gives people information to help them decide what to buy. So sometimes they'll have two different kinds of things. And then when you're looking at it, especially things like a cell phone, as you get older, my own children only got cell phones when they went to grade 8. But if you have already got one or you are going to get one, mom and dad will look at different adverts and go into shops like Vodacom and MTN and see what deals they have in terms of Samsung, iPhone, Huawei, and those kind of things. Just also remember that advertising also helps pay for the cost of programs like the programs that are on TV, on radio, and online, as in on Google. So adverts then pay for things like the free game that I've got. I don't ever really buy a game. So the games I've got are free ones like Scrabble Go, but there's adverts on that pay for the actual app. Right, and then we look at consumers. So you are a consumer. So if you look on the left chart, that is someone who buys and uses products and services. So that's us, you and me. But as a consumer, you are someone who buys and uses it, but you need to know how to understand ads, the ones that you see or you hear, because they are very clever and sometimes you are misled. And I'm not going to say that some adverts are blarney, because they actually are required to tell the truth. but often there's a little fine line between what they say and what is actually delivered. So just be very careful. I have got a video to show you. It's quite long. It's about 6 minutes. So sit back and relax. It is very clear in terms of what they're describing, in terms of your advertising techniques or your persuasive techniques. I couldn't have said it better myself, and so I have used this video. It's brilliant. Right, I've turned the sound off because it's quite distracting. So as you can see, different persuasive techniques, and we're going to go through each one. So every year companies spend billions of dollars or rands to advertise their products and services to kids and teens just like you. Remember I said, so that you can nag your parents to buy you the products. Okay, they are the advertisers and they want you to think like they think and buy what they want you to buy. Okay, so there's 7 techniques we're going to look at today. Bandwagon, we're going to look at peer pressure, repetition, testimonial, transfer, loaded words, and appeal to logic. And obviously you can use these in your writing, not just when you're doing adverts, but as you get into your year, your teacher will ask you to write a persuasive paragraph or essay or do a persuasive talk or speech. So these are going to help you. Okay, so each technique, we're going to look at bandwagon first. Love this one. It's the idea that you should believe something or buy something because everyone else believes it. So if that's the #1 movie, why haven't you seen it? Love bandwagon. It's quite a powerful technique. Everyone thinks it's #1, so should you. Obviously, peer pressure makes sense. So they use that to persuade you that you need this to look cool, to be somebody, like the models in the Sketches ad. You'll be cool like them too. Repetition, that's obviously to persuade you by using repeated words that get stuck in your head. So it's like jingles. Think of those chimes for McDonald's or KFC or Nando's. Then testimonial, I love this. They try and use people who are famous. Perhaps like, I'm trying to think of somebody now that you would look up to. Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift, those kind of people. Transfer, I love transfer. I'm going to stop there just for a minute. So transfer tries to persuade you by getting you to associate positive feelings with something that is familiar to you with an unfamiliar product or idea. So, for example, the picture of the sand is supposed to bring up positive emotions, okay, with Coke. So, implying that if you like the beach, you will love Coke. So that brings the two together, your love of the beach with a product. Loaded words make sense. Love, hope, victory. They try and persuade you by using strong, positive words which create an emotion out of you. And then appeal to logic is the last one. Obviously, just with facts, say to you, really, there's nothing to this. If you just think about it, you should really have this product, not that one. Okay, so you've seen how to use these in advertising, but how to use them in writing. So they are going to give some examples which I think are lovely. So pretend you're trying to convince somebody to believe in aliens. Here are some examples of how to use each technique. So bandwagon. You'd say all your friends believe in aliens. I believe in aliens, therefore you should too. That's bandwagon. Get everybody on the same car. You don't have to pause the video at this stage. This is just an example. Another technique is peer pressure. So believing in aliens has become more popular in the last decade. In fact, it is considered cool for a person to claim to have been abducted by aliens. So trying to get you to want to be cool as well. The next one, repetition. Remember those jingles? Aliens, aliens, aliens. They are everywhere. Aliens in schools, aliens at the grocery store, and aliens at the beach. You cannot escape aliens. So getting that stuck into your head. Repetition is an easy one, like alliteration. Testimonial. Famous actor Will Smith believes aliens exist. He and his wife Jada Pinkett Smith are both convinced we are not alone in this universe. So, I mean, if he believes it, surely you must believe it too. Your next one is transfer. So to transfer something that you like to a product. Are you sick and tired of the snow? Well, what if you could live in a place where where the chance of snow is 0%? Mars is just such a place. The aliens that live there will never have to shovel their driveways. So if you don't like snow, there's a place where you can go where there isn't snow. Loaded words. They offer hope for humans. There's the loaded word hope. Their advanced technology can instantly solve many of the world's most pressing problems. Hope, instantly solve. Those are your loaded words in that one. And then your last one, appeal to logic. Just think about it. So using your head with facts, with an infinite universe, there's very little chance that human beings are alone or that Earth is the only planet that can sustain life. So lovely use of those techniques in actual writing. So let's quickly review the persuasive techniques you've learned in this tutorial. Bandwagon, peer pressure, repetition, testimonial, transfer, and loaded words, and the last one, appeal to logic. Okay, so there we have it, grade 6s. I am going to go through it again because I know that was quite quick. So let's look at the next thing. Right, so here they are. I wanted to say something about our next lesson. So today we're looking at those techniques, and there are more than 7. I've just picked 7 from that video, and I'll talk about some of the others now. But in our next lesson, you're going to actually have a chance to look at an advert and dissect it. In other words, break it apart and look at what makes up an advert, and then create your own. Today we're just looking at techniques. So you've got bandwagon, and again, remember that is the idea that you should believe something or buy something because everyone else believes or has that something. So bandwagon means you don't want to be left behind. You want to get on the bandwagon. So actually, in the olden days, there used to be a wagon that they used to transport things with. We now have cars. But you don't want to be left behind. You want to be in the same car with everybody else, getting the product or believing the thing that they have. The next one is repetition. Remember, to persuade you by repeating certain words or ideas that get stuck in your head. I think there was an advert on the radio the other day. PG glass repair, PG glass replace. I don't know if you've heard it. PG glass repair, PG glass replace. And I was like, oh, it's so irritating, but it's gotten stuck in my head. So the repetition of PG glass has really gotten there. So I think to myself, I've actually got a little window pane that's cracked. Who am I going to phone? PG glass. Peer pressure, remember, it's like you are pressured to do something at school when you were at school, or maybe this little device that is amazing but can also be negative. Be careful that you're not being pressured to do something or to join something or to post something or to like something because of peer pressure. You are cool just on your own. And then transfer, remember, I should move myself out of the way, is to persuade you by getting these positive feelings. So if I think about the beach and then I see Coke, oh, I love the beach. So, I mean, I'm obviously going to love Coke. So that's how they persuade you or transfer your love of something to something else. And then we've got these 3 loaded words. Remember, it's that positive, strong, or negative emotion. Love, hope, instant. It makes you think, oh, there's something to this product. Appeal to logic. So it persuades you by using facts or arguments. And then when you think about it, you think, that makes sense. So it appeals to your logic. And then testimonial, they try and use somebody, their personal story, whether it's somebody, it's most of the time it's somebody famous, because then you're going to look up to them, or it could be just somebody that's your age and you think, well, if they're using that product, perhaps I should too. There's one that they haven't mentioned, and that is sense appeal. So that is when you look at an advert, it appeals to your senses, what you see, maybe what you can, as you're looking at it, what you could smell. I don't know about you, but when I see a packet of hot chips, oh, my senses start going. I look at it, I think, oh, that's exactly what I feel like, especially from Steers. I particularly like Steers chips, or McDonald's actually. I can actually, my mouth starts watering, so it appeals to my taste buds. Those kind of things are your sense appeal. There are also lots of other techniques, guys, like ones that have emotional appeal. So not just your senses and what you see, but what you feel. So they maybe pull on your heartstrings and you feel sorry for somebody, and so you want to do something about it. Another one that hasn't been mentioned is sort of those clever buy one, get one free, or only on Mondays, or this Wednesday only. You sort of feel like you have to buy it because it's never going to happen again. It's one day only. So those kind of things are also very clever techniques. But obviously I've only mentioned one or two today. So let's try and take a look now at adverts. So think about the ones we've spoken about: bandwagon, peer pressure, testimonial, transfer, appeal to logic. Which one of these? I think it's got Justin Bieber. He's famous. So which one would that be? Yes, it's going to be testimonial. So he is, obviously has a very, very old photograph of him. But if Justin Bieber is advertising this and he is using this product, which we're not sure is Blarney or not, he's endorsed the product. In other words, he's saying it's a good product. So it says Justin Bieber is proactive. Okay, now the actual product is called proactive. So proactive means when you do something before it's needed. Okay, so Justin is proactive. He's doing something before he's needing it, and he's supporting the product. So there's a bit of a loaded word there as well. He's proactive, but the product is proactive. But if he's using it for his pimples or his skin to keep him looking good, perhaps it'll work for you. So you might want to use it because he is using it. Right, let's look at this. Big Beefy Bliss from, obviously M is McDonald's, if you recognize that logo. I'm loving it. There's the jingle. You obviously can't hear that jingle if it's not on TV or on radio. But looking at it, what are the techniques they've used? Can you see them? Big Beefy Bliss. It is a bit of alliteration, especially the first two, big and beefy. Obviously, bliss. Remember, we spoke about alliteration. Bliss is a different sound. It's got the BL sound, where big and beefy have just got the B sound. So that is alliteration, and it is repetition. So to make it stick in your head. And then obviously the senses. If you look at that, I don't particularly like McDonald's in terms of what's in the food, but I must admit to looking at that and thinking, oh, I wouldn't mind a McDonald's burger. And I have on the odd occasion had one, and they actually are not too bad. I actually quite find them to be delicious. So yes, so using alliteration, big, beefy, sense appeal, what you're looking at with your eyes. And obviously that repetition, which is the alliteration. Right. Cotton On loves, love it. Sorry, hashtag love it, hashtag want it, hashtag need it now. Right, so there's a couple of things there. So obviously if you look at it, think about it. Can you see some of those techniques? So think about it. Is it repetition? Is it loaded words? Is it testimonial? Is there anybody famous there? No. Is it appeal to logic? Okay, they haven't really used any facts. Is it bandwagon? Everybody else is going to do this. Are you going to do it? So let's take a look. It's definitely loaded words. So think about need it now. So it's not about wanting it, because if you think about it, clothes are actually a want. If you've got enough clothes in your cupboard, you don't really need something else. But that loaded word of need it now means you actually can't wait. And then there's that repetition, guys, of love it, want it, need it now. And obviously, sorry, in the loaded words is also the word love, which, you know, if you love something, you have to have it. And then let's look at this one. So think about it. I'm going to give you a few minutes and maybe pause the video, think about what you would decide. If you have to, you can go back to some of those other slides and look at those techniques. Bandwagon, transfer, loaded words, appeal to logic, peer pressure. Which ones could it be? Okay, also look at the words. Share a Coke with a friend, get in touch with a good friend, an old friend, or maybe even a new friend. and then the names. Do you remember when this technique was used? I loved it. Having your name on an actual Coke bottle, which I'd never actually got. Never had mine. My name spelt quite differently to the norm. Not talking about my surname, because my surname is quite different. Right, so peer pressure. Think about it. It's got people's names on. So there's a pressure to go, oh, I also want that. I need that. If everybody else, Kylie and Luke, have it, I also want my name on it. Okay, bandwagon. Share a Coke with a friend. Everybody seems to be doing this. Sharing it with a good friend, an old friend, or maybe even meeting a new friend. So I don't want to miss this. I want to make sure that I'm having what everybody else has. And I've actually been to somebody's house where I've seen their bottles, which haven't been opened. They just bought them and kept them, those small bottles with the whole family's name. And I'm thinking, oh, wish I did that. Too late. And then transfer. Think about spending time with a friend. So if you enjoy being with a friend, you're obviously going to enjoy Coke, and it's something that you can share. So they're transferring that love of being with a friend or a new friend or an old friend with the love of Coke. Coke uses very some lovely techniques. So their advertising department is quite good. Right, look at this one, dealing with iPhones. There's iPhone, and then there's everything else. What techniques do you think are being used here? You can even read the little writing. It says, what makes an iPhone unlike anything else? Maybe it's that it lets you do so many things, or that it lets you do so many things so easily. Those are two reasons iPhone owners say they love their phones, but there are many others as well. So pause a bit and think about it, and when you come back, we'll go through it. Okay, so if we just look at that before I show you the answers. There's iPhone, and then there's everything else. Okay, so it makes you feel like, oh my goodness, iPhone is the one to have. I mean, there's other stuff, but there's iPhone, and then the rest. So really, you should be having an iPhone. It gives you reasons about why you would want it, and it does appeal to the senses because it's got beautiful pictures there. So it appeals to logic. So they're saying, here are the reasons. You can do so many things. You can do so many things easily. Loaded words. Everything else. Okay, there's iPhone, and then there's everything else. Okay, and it says unlike anything else. So those loaded words are encouraging you to get an iPhone as opposed to anything else. And actually, I've got two teenagers in my house who don't want to get anything else but an iPhone. And so they've had to wait quite a while to get their cell phones. They've had to wait to get second-hand phones. And if they wanted the iPhone, in my family, I've got my dad and my brothers who are older than me. Obviously, my dad's older than me, but they have iPhones, and as soon as they pass them down, that's what my girls have gotten. And then they are now in grade 11, and they've had to wait till grade 11 to get their own new iPhone, which we put through a special contract. But that was what they wanted, but they had to wait, and so they had to wait quite a long time. But as much as I love iPhone, I know there are wonderful devices. I've got a friend who's got a Samsung. I've got a friend who's got a Huawei. They are fantastic devices. No matter what you've got, even though this advert is trying to persuade you that iPhone is the best, everything else does work and it does deliver. And sometimes in different situations, whether it's the photographs or the music, there is a difference and you've got to decide which you want. Right, game, you always win. So that's your game stores. The only one that I could think of looking at this, it's got the pink and the black. It's a logo that you'll remember, but the main thing is the loaded words. You always win. So always, so there's not a time when you go to game when you're not going to get a product at a good price. And win, everybody wants to win. So they've really loaded their words there in their advert. This one is one of my favorite adverts in the whole world. It's by Nando's, if you can see, and it says, keep or fried chicken, doctor's advice. I want you to just think a little bit about different takeaway stores that sell chicken. Can you see it? So pause it. I'm not going to tell you. I want you to think about it a bit. Okay. I love KFC. I don't know if you can see the KFC there, but they aren't using it in a positive to say go and get KFC, because Nando's doesn't want to support KFC. They want you to support them. So they're saying keep off fried chicken, because Nando's grill their chicken. And if you know your health, if you are quite healthy or your mom is wanting you to be healthy, it's always better to eat grilled food as opposed to fried food. So very clever technique. They haven't put KFC anywhere, but a clever technique in the way they've used their words is keep off fried chicken. Okay, and there it's got the KFC, and they've actually put a little personalized thing in terms of who said that. It's doctor's advice is keep off fried chicken, which we know if we think about health, as I said, fried is not as good as grilled. So the words there are testimonial. The doctor is advising you to keep off fried food, and obviously those loaded words, keep off. Wow, very cheeky, and a lot of Nando's ads are cheeky, but they are really, really good. And sometimes they get themselves into trouble, so they've got to be very, very careful with some of the adverts. But nonetheless, if they put this out there, you've seen it. Even if they have to take it off, it's already in your mind, and they can apologize and make amends, but you already see that you need to not have KFC and rather have grilled chicken, which is Nando's. So we've come to the end, grade 6s. I do hope that you've enjoyed it and that you've had fun. Remember, there's going to be an activity at the end. And also, if you've got any questions to do with this lesson on advertising techniques, persuasive techniques, those 7, you can email me at grade6 at WorksheetCloud.com. I have created an activity that's got logos. So like the M for McDonald's, I've sent you an activity to see, can you identify logos? And then obviously to look at different adverts and see if you can recognize those 7 techniques. Have a lovely day. Keep your eyes open for some of those adverts that are on TV, especially because you're watching a lot of TV now at the moment, on your phone. Perhaps if you go up to the shops and you've got those magazines or those little spa brochures that have got all the, I think they're called brochures, that have got all their products. Those are advertising techniques. They're everywhere. Be wise and be awake before you buy. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely day, grade 6s. Thanks for watching. Remember, same time, same place. Bye, guys.